I'd like to call to order the Five School Board. If you please join with me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. David, to be kind enough to take the attendance.
Mr. Foster,
I am here.
Mr. Burgess,
Here.
Ms. Foster,
Present.
Ms. Frazier,
Here.
Mr. Nealon,
Here.
Mr. Wentworth,
Here.
Mr. Carr,
Here.
Ms. Dow is absent, planned absent, so you have a quorum, you may proceed.
Great. This is a time for public participation. If you are here and would like to publicly participate, please come up before our beautiful see-through podium. And if you are at home and you would like to publicly comment, you may email for public comment at publiccomment@rsu25.org, or you can phone in for public comment at 307-8099. And I'm not seeing anybody leap forward. So we will move to adjustments to the agenda.
Yep, and you should have an adjusted agenda. And I have a couple more adjustments to adjust on the adjusted agenda. So, but if you would be so kind as to add on M1B, Tyler Pye, Cody Gray, and Lily Wilson. And those are all for, Tyler and Lily are for volunteers for coaching, football and volleyball, and Cody Gray, he would be added in as a special ed tech 3. And if you would add in the name Kelly Craig to special ed tech 1. And James McCallion to DHS golf. And Adrian Russell to be an assistant to Coach Gagan at football. As a volunteer. I believe those are all the adjustments that I have at this moment. Then if you would please remove from policy M7 EECA, my apologies for that, that was supposed to be pulled out. And we'll be dealing with that. With that in our next policy committee, I need a clarification. And if you could add agenda item 2B, which is, I mentioned in my report, that is the 6-month review of our return to school plan. That's a requirement because we're still receiving federal ESSER money. We'll discuss it then, but nothing has changed. So, okay. Go ahead.
We have an approval of the minutes.
Well, I move that we approve the minutes of July 18, 2023 and August 7, 2023.
I second. So I was absent from the August 7th. Minutes.
You can still vote, or you can abstain, or you can do them as separate motions. Or
Want me to change that, make a separate motion?
Sure, why don't we do
Okay,
that?
I move that we accept the minutes of July 18, 2023 as presented.
All those in favor of the July meeting minutes? That is unanimous.
And I move that we approve the minutes of August 7th, 2023 special meeting as presented.
Second. And I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay, and opposed?
I also would abstain.
And 2 absent. So we stand. That's perfect.
That's fine. Got it.
Next, we've got communications correspondence.
Very limited this month, so.
Oh, there's that. All right.
I told you it was good.
All right. Superintendent's report.
Yeah, you have my written report, and I basically highlighted most everything for the agenda. Time of writing, we're 14 days from opening, we're a lot closer now. You can tell activity has picked up. We're seeing a lot of activity around the schools. Kudos to the custodians. As always, tremendous amount of work that's gone into the summer. The schools are really coming together. The construction work is wrapping up. which is nice. The Jewett building's been turned back over to us, so that's good. We do have some staff that Anthony rotated down from some other buildings to help get that ready to go, so we'll be ready to go for that. So we're ready to open our doors.
Any word on when you're coming up to do the baseball and softball field?
I'm not gonna find a moment. They were back last week. They overseeded the field again.
It looks beautiful.
And we, Anthony had, the sprinkler company come in and adjust the height on a couple of the heads to bring them down to grade because of the shifting a little bit. So, no, we're gonna do a walkover on Thursday just to make sure, but, you know, like you saw when we did the varsity football field, the first year it's, you know, it's there, but as it matures in year 2 to 3, it's gonna fill right in very, very nice. So scoreboard's gonna be going up next week, I believe. You got it? Mr.
Dealing with.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
He's an audience.
What Jim said.
I'm not gonna say anymore. I'm happy to answer any
No, that's
questions.
fine. I will pass it on.
Board chair's report, it's just great to see that the teams are starting to practice as you go uphill. And looking forward to school opening. Have a whole community come back together. On committee reports, we have curriculum.
We did not meet, we were going to meet, and then we did not meet, we decided, we didn't need to. But we do have, Christina has something to talk about on the agenda tonight.
Finance committee met right before this meeting. We are at about a 4% usage overall on our most of our budget lines, because we are just starting. And the big highlight in nutrition was that we received a food grant of $10,000. Any question on finance? All right, we got policy.
Policy committee, we did meet, we needed to go through our required policies, bring it forward tonight for review, for possible first reading.
Any questions for policy? Yeah, so
Facilities, Anthony sent me the update yesterday, it's the BIMS update. For the Jewett School, all ductwork insulating is done and the ceilings are back up. The school is turned back over to us. Main controls is in the building to start up and checking all points to ensure that everything works correctly. Hot water heater is fully installed. Lighting contractors will be in the building for the LED bulb upgrade this week. The high school lighting contractors have been in the building upgrading the light fixtures to LED. Hot water heater is hooked up and running. The new chimney being installed this week. Miles Lane contractors have been making connections on the new burner for the boiler, gas line, and electrical. New chimney is being installed this week. In other notes, the new water main is fully installed at the Jewett School and is now operational. This is a huge win with solving a few issues for us. One being consolidating from one water meter instead of 2. Number 2, water line no longer runs under the building. 3, by the looks of the old piping, it appears that some of the leaks have been leaching into the ground. All piping coming into the building is now lead-free, and water pressure is increased in the building since then. Custodial staff have been working hard getting the buildings ready for the new school year. Everyone seems to be ahead of schedule aside from the Jewett School. We have pulled a couple of people from other schools to get the building in shape before school starts. The sports fields have been overseeing the BMS field, and that field will be ready to play soccer on it this fall. Scoreboards are on site, and the middle school field, Wardwells will be installing the posts to hang them next week. Unused lockers were removed from the high school locker rooms. This would be the middle island locker that we talked about. The space is opened up and there are no more blind spots in the locker room. Extra benches have been installed in a U shape, which will come in handy when coaches would like to meet with the team during halftimes of games and key meetings. And that's it.
Any questions for the facilities? Okay. We got HCPC.
We don't meet during the summer, so we begin in September.
Perfect. Old business is none. Under new business, we have personnel, resignations and retirement.
Yep, we had 3 resignations. Lost sight teacher resigned his grade 3-4 position. Laura Lindsay resigned her Title I Ed Tech 3 position. And Kevin Potter unfortunately had to step down as our golf coach.
I would look for a motion to accept the resignation for that.
Well, I move that we accept the resignation with regret.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have nominations.
Nominations for teachers. I have Virginia White, EHS Chemistry, Mike Allen, EHS Math. Heather Chase for Miles Lane, grade 3-4 teacher. Tyler Parry for BMS Physical Education. And other support personnel, I have Cody Gray, Special Ed Tech 3. Matt Winchester to come on board as a bus mechanic for us. Jim Monahan as custodian for MLS, plus he'll do some additional work around the football field and there are other areas as needed. I also has the adjustments. We had Kelly Craig as an Ed Tech 1 to add in there. And under coaches, we have Miles Fisher for BMS Student Council. We have James McCallion for BHS Golf. We have Tyler Pye for BHS Football Volunteer. John Gagan, BHS Football Volunteer. Troy Beers, BMS Football Volunteer. And Lily Winslow for BHS Volleyball Volunteer. I think I've got them all.
Did you get Adrian?
I did. I thought I did. Nathan and Russell as a volunteer to assist Mr. Gagan.
All right, that's quite a list.
That's good.
Yeah, I would look for a motion. Hopefully as a block. Or we'll be here all night.
Well, I move that we accept all the nominations as a block.
Second.
We have a motion. All those in favor of the motion? That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have annual appointment of school medical advisor for fiscal year 24.
Yep, Sarah Woolley, who's the licensed practitioner at Bucksport Regional Health Center. She's served that function for us previously. That was a great working relationship with the nurses in the school. Very happy to bring her name forward.
Promotion.
Well, I move that we appoint Sarah Willie as the school medical advisor for fiscal year 2024.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion? That is unanimous. Thank you. And we have review of return to school plan for fiscal year 24.
Yeah, you have that in your packets. You should have in your packets. There's, to be honest with you, very little has changed. Actually, nothing has changed. We are required to do this because we are still receiving federal monies. And so in order to keep those federal monies coming to us, we can finish our projects and provide the services we want to. We need to keep this going every 6 months, be revisited until we finish that. As I said in my report, even though we've moved away from the pandemic and it's really COVID's really become part and parcel of life, there are still federal guidelines, which is what the state is following. They haven't changed since last year. A known infection is a minimum of 5 days of isolation, and then you can return after 10 days or after 2 negative tests taken 24 hours apart after day 5. That really wasn't an issue last year for us. We did obviously have some infections. I expect we'll have some again. It's part of life now, and we'll deal with that. But what I did point out in my report, though, having the different levels of return is not a bad idea. When you start to look at your overall, planning, and you may lose a facility, God forbid, to fire, what are you gonna do to recover from that? You may have something, a total freeze up. What are you gonna do to recover from that? So I can see us incorporating this more into our response planning as we move down in the future. I think there's some value to that. But I'm required to have this in front of you every 6 months, so I bring it to you. Basically unchanged. Happy to answer any questions you have.
I think it's a good policy just for operational resiliency overall, like you're saying, there's so many different situations in which you need a plan for how to continue to educate the kids and it's a good thing.
And no changes.
No.
And I
Totally.
don't wanna give that extra money back.
Do you like those sweet green buttons?
And it's all, I mean, it's optional, right? Masking is optional, we're not requiring it. Even last year, very few people they still did mask, that was their choice.
We still see it once in a while. About people that need it.
And I suspect we'll see seasonal peaks and valleys.
Well, I move that we accept the return to school plan for the fiscal year 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion? And against? That is with, one vote.
Yep, I got it. Sarah.
Next, we have, consideration of possible action, categorize the RSU 25 Director of Facilities position as main first L.
In order for a position, this position specifically, there's the opportunity for outside of main first or within main first. Depending on the individual who's employed there, it may be beneficial for them not to have main first. But in this situation, it's definitely desired and beneficial for them. And in order to do that, we need a motion by the board to accept that as a main first position. We've already budgeted those expenses associated with that into the budget, so there's no budgetary impact.
And this has been discussed. We're done.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
We're quite, okay.
And this is an either or, not both.
Okay, say that again?
This is either a main first or a social security,
No, this is a PLD, so we pay into both.
so it's both. So this is a both.
Okay. That way he's able to maintain his social security, which is already earned plus entry.
So that, I wanted to understand.
Maybe someday we won't be in offset down the state.
So the PLD doesn't have an offset penalty.
Really? So we.
Because it's
All
you
right, so that
you're
is
contributing. You're the
Yes,
one.
because we,
Have that option.
no, PLD has the option.
Yeah.
And so you do pay into social security and PLD.
And he won't be
We
penalized.
do not, no.
Oh, then this is a win.
It's a definite win.
Yeah, this is definitely a win. Yeah,
Main first is just retirement, right? There's no other,
okay. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Anybody get all the questions?
I move that we categorize the director, the RSU 25 Director of Facilities position as main first.
Second that?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of possible adoption of the RSU 25 K-12 life and career ready curriculum.
I'll give you a quick highlight and pass it over to Christina, but the curriculum committee has been working along with a group of teachers to work through the career and life ready curriculum. Multiple meetings, multiple adjustments have been made, but they've reached the point where that committee is very comfortable and ready to make it forward to use. If you have any specific questions, I think Ms. Hall is the lady I'm talking about.
You think it'll take you a while to get used to it?
Yeah.
Anyone have any? Promote.
Well, I move that we adopt the RSU 25 K-12 life and career ready curriculum as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous.
Thanks to that committee for great work on that. I know they have a busy agenda coming up this winter.
3 times anyway.
Yeah.
Little ones feel like that.
Yeah, little one.
Yeah. You got through the LA,
That's right. That's big.
all right?
And once you do one, the others become easy,
They
right?
really do.
Yeah.
You have to pick one first.
Consideration of possible action, authorize final payment on the BHS SRRF loan fiscal year 23 funds.
Yeah, part of our budget process, we talked about paying that loan off a year early. And everybody supported that through the budget process. But our business manager wants to do everything. She liked that audit where she got no sightings from it. She wants to make sure that this is very clear.
Don't miss it.
Right, so, and she's absolutely right. Doing a formal motion by the board is the right thing to do. We're prepared to go ahead and get that paid off and takes care of that.
We need to authorize the final payment on the VHS SRRF loan fiscal year 2023 fund.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion? Okay,
Sorry. Thank you very much.
It's nice.
Now it's time for our administrator and principal reports, discussion of school opening plans. So we'll go through the list here. We got Josh first.
Well, once you have my report, Chief Tom and Danny kind of stole really the big things that are happening in terms of all the just facility stuff that's happening here. I know it doesn't really look like we have to kind of rewrite it through like the doldrums to get up here in the library for this meeting. But the school's really kind of come around. It looks really, really great. Custodians have done a fantastic job. They put a lot of work in this year. Giving the one to the locker rooms, simple little things like moving, which I never really understood why they were there to begin with, but we take out those center lockers and it actually looks like a locker room where you can, as a former basketball coach, like see your team, not all just crammed into one corner and on one bench. The light fixtures have motion lights in all of our classrooms and offices, and just to see fresh wax on the floor in the gymnasium, like go look at the gym on your way out because it was the best we'll ever look. It won't look that good like 3 days from now because we have volleyball and football and soccer all going on in there. But we're just excited. I mean, again, I love this week because we get to see students back. I can just walk up to the football field and the soccer field and down to the gym. You can see kids happy to be back, smiling. And then we're just prepping for next week. So we have a busy, I sent you kind of a synopsis of what we're going to be doing for professional development. But again, I've been very, very fortunate. We have all of our teachers training. We don't have to bring any new teachers on, so it's not trying to reteach a lot of the stuff that we've been doing. It's okay, what were we doing last year and how can we improve and make it better? But we spent a lot of time on working on the new evaluation system, looking at our local and state data, and gearing up for the school year.
Questions? Just want to make a comment. It's very hard to believe that the main section of this school is 60 years old.
Yeah,
it certainly doesn't look it.
No, I've been pretty fortunate the last few years. I think the last 4, I've been able to give tours to the 50th class reunion group every year for the last 4 years. And now just been a tradition. What's that?
You missed me.
Was it within the last 4 years?
Yeah, I'm 53.
Yeah.
But we had COVID.
Oh, okay.
Couldn't do anything.
I'll think that's all.
And we had planned on doing that too.
Yeah. But it's great. So we had 20 people from this year's class that came through. And every year I learned something new about the building and like, well, that was so-and-so's room and this was the science wing. And then you get to take them through all the different parts and they're just always kind of impressed. Like it's the same building, like the main section is old, but it's in great shape. And it gets what we need done. So we're pretty fortunate. It's a fun afternoon. They were a little rambunctious this time. They were sneaking into the bathroom. They were taking selfies.
Some things never change.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but it's okay. It was fun.
They didn't bring the cigarettes out or anything.
I don't think so. I didn't go in. I wasn't checking. I didn't want us to send anybody. The vape sensor didn't go off, so I'm just gonna go with the fact that they were.
Thank you very much. Next we've got Aaron.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a pretty quiet, uneventful summer for most. Yeah, I think I use the board report whirlwind to describe the summer. It's been a whirlwind of positive and just really great experiences that I've had over the last couple of months. I've had the opportunity to meet every staff member at this point, formally and informally, and started building those relationships. And I've been thoroughly impressed with the amount of dedication over the summer, just how invested they are in what they do. And it's a great group of professionals up there, and we're really excited to get going. I just want to highlight some of the work that they did over the summer, as far as like professional development. Started off at the Middle Level Institute, where we had a group of I'd say probably 10 educators, 10 Scoot Point, to look at best practices in middle level education. I had an opportunity to spend a day with them there, and it was just truly amazing to see them do their thing and just how much passion they have for their craft and teaching and kids in general. So that was really exciting. We also brought 14, which I think is incredible, BMS educators together to highlight, and kind of implement something called the Cultural Responsive Classroom, which is part of our morning meeting, which is a new part of our schedule this year, which is really aimed at building connections with kids and relationships with kids. So, and kind of looking at strategies and tools and whatnot to just have those stronger connections and make it, a positive place for kids to be, which was fantastic work that they did there. That kind of dovetails in with the PBIS piece that we're working on. That's something you'll hear me talk a lot about this year, is just looking at a school-wide universal implementation of positive behaviors and supports and reinforcing those for all students throughout the course of the year. So I think we have 2 coaches currently at training right now in Biddeford, getting out of some familiarity with that piece, and then we're going to hit the ground running with that at the start of the school year. So again, just amazed at the amount of professional development over the course of the summer, and virtually every teacher has been a part of something. So it's fantastic. Spent a large portion of the summer really delving into the schedule. You will notice some changes in the schedule, which are very much so positive. In that, again, I mentioned the morning meeting piece. That's something that's implemented in grades 5 through 8. So every morning, kids will start off with some sort of enriching experience where they get to connect with their teachers and learn more about each other to build positive relationships and communities there. We also have team planning time for teachers to really look at ways we can further integrate, our exploratory learning and applied learning lab and that sort of thing. So there's just a lot of positives within the schedule that will just create better experiences for not only our students, but also our staff. Summer school was a hit over the summer. We had 17 students participate. Big thanks to the teachers who engaged in that piece. We are fully staffed, which is awesome. That is fantastic. So excited about that. Looking at the start of the year, we obviously have a lot of work ahead of us. One of the big pieces is familiarizing, myself with the staff and building those connections with my staff and kind of looking at partnerships we can develop there. So Mrs. Dickey and myself have spent a lot of time brainstorming ways we can kind of hit the ground running and learning about each other as quickly as we possibly can. So our first few days are really devoted to, celebrating each other, learning about each other, and setting clear and consistent expectations, for all students, obviously, and staff to get the year off the ground. So I do have kind of in that same, breath, I guess, Thursday night, it'll be a principal meet and greet. I would like to throw that out there. So Mrs. Dickey and myself will be around at the middle school from 5:30 to 6:30, go over goals, talk about kind of vision, long-term, kind of plans, who we are as people, and we'll have some cookies and some refreshments there as well.
Do
So
you encourage kids to go to that, or is that more for adults?
yeah, more for adults. Certainly you can bring the kiddos along, but it is kind of catered more towards the adults. And then the open house piece, we'll look forward to introducing ourselves to the kiddos there. So that's Thursday at 5:30, right at Plain Auditorium. So again, I hope to see many of you there. Athletics are underway. We have a athletic meeting tomorrow night for coaches and parents and kiddos and whatnot at 5:30. And then just highlighting some of, one other additional piece for next year is the outdoor club that we've started. I mentioned that in the report as well. Miles Bishop is gung-ho for really looking at ways we can, have kids explore the outdoors, and he's partnered with something called Trails for Me, and really looking at, how can we build a sustainable outdoor education program. This year we're going to start relatively small, and then look to grow that over the course of the year. But we do have some initial plans of doing a something called the Life Happens Outside Challenge. So that's something you'll see in October, where we're really encouraging all kids to record how much they're outside and doing things. So I'm really excited about that and kind of the potential that that program has to partner with local, people around the community to get kids outside. So, yeah, that's kind of an overview of a very busy summer, and I'm looking forward to getting kids in the building and for a year ahead. Any questions?
Any questions for Aaron? Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks.
Next we've got Darcy.
So this year I'm speaking for MLS. However, Nicole and I have still continued to work together to kind of keep that continuity between pre-K through 4. So we're going to continue to work together throughout the school year. It's been a really busy summer at MLS. Like I said earlier, back in June, we had the YMCA, we had daycare, we had people working in the building with construction. Everything that went really well, everything went smoothly. The YMCA has moved back to do it. And daycare has returned to the gym, classrooms are looking great, and teachers are starting to trickle in and they're getting their classroom, and elementary teachers getting their classrooms all decorated, and they've been excited to share some of their plans for the school year with me. So Nicole, like I said, Nicole and I continue to work as a team. Our goals are the same because we are looking at pre-K through 4 as one entity. So I'm going to share a couple of the goals, and then when she comes up, then she will share another goal that we'll be working on this year. So one of our goals include maintaining a positive and engaging school culture, and to focus on SEL commitment to the well-being of our students and staff. This is something that we have been working on, and we wish to enhance to keep that going and keep the momentum going. We're excited for our involvement in the first year of the main PBIS cohort, where we will be focusing on tier 1 interventions. So those will be classroom interventions, and also really looking at tracking the data in order to provide the best supports that we can for our kids and our staff. We have a dynamic leadership team this year. I'm really excited. They will serve as our leadership team, but also our PBIS team. And we have 2 school coaches and several staff members who are, Brunswick? They're in Brunswick yesterday, today, and tomorrow, doing some training with the state around PBIS. This year, we really hope that we can increase community involvement, enhance student and staff relationships, and continue to work with BRHC, school counselor, and our school social worker. We are almost fully staffed. We do have 1 position. We have an Ed Tech 3 Title I for math that we're looking for. But we do have 2 new teachers left. Not new to our district, but Sarah DeBeck will be teaching grade 3 and Heather Chase grade 4, and we're really excited about that. Some new educational technicians, which Cara will mention, and a Title I Ed Tech, Nadine Robbins for literacy, and Cheryl Sutherland is our math Title I. And that is it.
Do we have any questions? Thank you, Jeremy. Next we have Nicole.
Try to be brief because I know Josh is over there with his phone. Gotta get my dig in now. As Darcy said, we've been working together all summer. We formed a really good partnership last year, and I'm looking forward to continuing that this year, but also looking forward to our new structure where I'm going to be in the Jewett building, hopefully 100% of the time, and looking to that will really help with consistency. But Darcy and I will be still bouncing ideas off each other. We'll still be having common staff meetings, TLC meetings, those kind of things. But I look forward to strengthening those relationships I already started at Jewett last year. So as Darcy mentioned, we went over our goals together. But the one that I want to talk about is under the RSU strategic plan goal for academic excellence. And so we're going to be prioritizing our curriculum programming and interventions. And as obviously, you know, the board approved revisions to the ELA and career and life standards. We're going to be participating in training to improve instruction and implement these and other programs with Fidelity. We're going to take advantage of our partnership with Aspire to help us with assisting with those career standards because those are new to a lot of people. And we'll obviously be working with Christina as she takes on the small task of revisiting the math, science, and social studies standard or curriculums this year. So we'll be working hard on that. Given that also, you know, on Fridays, we have our afternoon PLCs or professional learning communities. Darcy and I have started to talk about looking at that how that's structured. One of the conversations we had with our leadership team last year was that they wanted to get back to the original intent of PLCs, because it seemed to be becoming more of a housekeeping kind of thing and school district kind of thing, whereas the original intent is basically focusing and learning on all of the students and using data to inform the day-to-day instructions to increase student achievement. And it would be like their instruction, how will they know? Learn the material that they decided that they needed to learn. So types of assessment, how will they respond if students haven't learned it? And that's where interventions will come into play. And then how will we respond if students have already learned it? So what kinds of enrichment activities can we give those kids that already know some of this material? So, and just kind of repeating that cycle when they meet with their teams. Under the goal for communication, the open house for Jewett is going to be Thursday from 4:30 to 5:30. I also would like to increase communication with the parents by increasing the use of we have an entryway television that has like a scrolling activity board on it. I want to have that more updated and have more things on there with maybe some videos or animations. So I'm gonna be working on that using Seesaw Facebook, but also tapping some of the younger staff to help me develop a newsletter specific to Jewett. And they know all that technology, so they want to use that stuff. As far as the safe learning environment, very happy to be back in my space. Judy and I returned last week. They're still kind of working around us a little bit. They changed some light bulbs today. I left my office. They were getting ready to put sensors in so that they'll be automated. Happy for the water main. We've even kind of in the teacher's room, you can see where the water main comes in. So we're trying to find a way to camouflage that, but the custodians have been working really well, and it's going to be ready. There's some teachers that have already come in this week. They're excited to be back. The playground looks great. We're loving the grass. I think Mr. Gagan's going to be really super excited to do some activities out there. And I sent out an email looking for some staff volunteers to help me clean out the shed that's out there, and also to repaint some stencils. So it's a little more fun and engaging for the kids. So that's something else that I'm looking forward to doing to welcome the kids back.
Every time we drive by, my kids who are in the middle school are very jealous of how nice the playground is. They're like, oh man,
I just hope
why
the
was
grass
it like
stays
that when
green.
you were there?
All of them running around on it. We'll see what.
That's right.
Right.
Next we've got Christina.
So our building principals do a really nice job of like giving credit and kudos to the teachers, but we listen to all of them. They've been doing a lot of work this summer. So anyway, we have an amazing administrative team in this district. So I feel fortunate to work with them, all of them, you and Josh. It's just what we do. It's just what we do. We're like brothers. Okay, so just a couple things really quick to highlight here. You've heard a lot about the things that are going on, and I try to make myself available for lots of those things. So, you know, I can just say ditto to most of the things that Erin talked about and Darcy. So we've been doing a lot of PD, a lot of training being scheduled, happening, a lot of teachers in and out of the buildings and doing a variety of things. Cara and I have been working a lot together this summer. So lots of things going on. We are planning for the new to RSU 25 orientation days and class this year. I would like to invite you all, if you're available, to join us for lunch on one or both days, Monday and Tuesday of next week. Monday's lunchtime, just because we have like different people presenting at different times during the day, the lunch times are a little different. Lunch on Mondays at 12 and lunch on Tuesdays at 11:30. So if you're available and would like to join us, please just let me know, and also let me know if you have any dietary restrictions that we need to know about. Just a quick interesting fact about the new to the RSU group is that we only have 7 right now, knock on something. We have 7 new folks joining us. It's the smallest class for quite some time, right, Jim? 5 years. So the smallest group in 5 years. And just an interesting thing about those 7, 4 of them out of the 7 were ed techs for us last year. So 4 of them already know the district pretty well in that role because they were ed tech 3s and they got their teaching degree and they're certified now. So it's pretty exciting. And then out of the remaining 3, 2 of them were Bucksport High School graduates. So it's just a really interesting group.
We're doing something right.
Yeah. So it's kind of exciting to have that kind of those details about people.
And you're in a fortunate position to have your position filled many, many districts and a lot of openings.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we're.
This is I saw 186 position of teachers.
Wow.
That's across the spectrum.
Yeah, so we're in very good shape right now. I hope to have for you guys an update for the data by next month, maybe the September school board meeting. We do have preliminary NWEA RITS data, kind of what we're familiar with. I wasn't ready to share it because they're still making tweaks to it, so why share it till we know for sure that it is final. I'll share with you next month. We are going to be getting, as I told you, 2 scores for each child. It'll be a normal RITS score that we normally get, and then there'll be a 4-digit state score on the state portion of the test. I don't anticipate having that 4-digit state score by the September board meeting, but I'll have the other information. You know, they said sometime in the fall, so anyway. I won't stay up here too long. We do have
November's fall too.
November.
Yeah.
Once we get it by December 25th, like the 20th, we're all set. We have full approval on our ESEA FY24 grant, so that's all set. And then I did link the RSU 25 school parent compact for 2023. It does not need board approval because the only changes we made was we updated some administrator names, like I put Aaron on there for the middle school. So it's linked in there for you. It just had to have some revisions, but cool. That's all I have. It's been busy. And it's not gonna slow down. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next week at Karen.
So in special education, I'm really thrilled to share that as of this board meeting and the approval of the 2 ed techs that are on there, special education is fully staffed, which, I mean, I know it's difficult across the board, but that's really an area of targeted need. And I'm so proud that we were able to grow our own special education teachers from ed techs, and that we found from our community some folks to hire as ed techs. We're excited to be a part of our team. I'm also really pleased to be back at the Jewett School, almost as pleased as Jim is that I'm back at the Jewett School.
Plans have all returned.
All, that's right, in our office, all of our plans. So, in other news, special education has taken on some specific, you've heard all about all the exciting things that are happening in all of these buildings, and special education is a part of that. I would like to highlight another professional development initiative where Katie Ingalls, along with Amanda Roy, went to train the trainer co-teaching workshop, which is really exciting in terms of thinking about inclusion And so those teachers can work with any teachers in our district. But starting, of course, at middle school, looking at how special educators and classroom teachers can collaborate to meet the needs of all students together in the classroom, and as opposed to apart. I have also included here a couple of other things. In addition to the new to RSU teacher class, this year we're going to offer an opportunity for educational technicians to have a course that is modeled after the really successful new to RSU teacher course in order to support ed techs in gaining understanding about how to best support students, particularly students with special needs. And we're going to be differentiating. I'll be working with Christina to differentiate the new to RSU teacher class to be specific, tailored specifically to special educators when that's appropriate, because there are things that our special ed teachers do that are, unique to them. I've shared with you my goals. Jen Bowden and I created these goals together. We're focusing on providing access to high quality instruction that increases student achievement and monitoring those student progress. Collaborating with stakeholders, like maintaining clear, consistent communication with parents and with our administrators, teachers, community. This is an audit year for us, so we're really going to be focusing on maintaining compliance with all those state and federally mandated timelines in terms of everything that goes along with IDEA. And we're working closely with the curriculum department and also the principals to support professional development. We've been training a lot of staff as well with safety care, which is our ongoing. Any questions for me about special education?
What is your audit? Is it financial audit or
It is-
professional?
That's
Okay.
that's a great question. So it's not a financial audit, although we're a part of, we do have, a grant through IDEA and that's monitored. But this is federal and state monitoring of all of the special education, all the laws that align with special education. So we're looking at Chapter 101, IDEA, 504, all the legal stuff. So look at our IEPs and all the paperwork that goes along with it. So they'll come in, they'll read 40 to 50 IEPs and give us feedback. And I don't want to speak out of school, but I think like with the finance, they want you to be 100%, right? There is no 99%. So you always get some form of corrective feedback. And then you work to improve it. But yeah, so it's focused specifically on IEPs and evaluating those kind of things.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next week, Kathy.
Summer is normally, July is one of our busiest months, but it was even busier this year. I did miss putting in our medical assisting class graduated and 3 of them have certified. And there is a 4th who will be certifying, I have no doubt, at the end of the month. She has her exam scheduled. We had 2 students that stopped out with us, and I think, I'm not sure our high set student knows what a miracle that this learner pulled off. But they had stopped out for 4 months and came back and were in an emergency situation, no clothes, no food, no home, needed to have a diploma in order to get all that, and walked in and said, I'm ready to test. And you have to set up an account, wait for 24 hours, wait 24 hours to set your first test and move on from there. And this learner came in at a time when the HiSET company had made a miscommunication and shut down all testing in Maine for 2 weeks. So I have to tell you, I made a phone call. Department of Education, the testing program, how they pulled us all together, other than the fact that for these 2 weeks, no one else was testing in Maine. They put in night programs. They said if I would test at night and on the weekend, our whole staff changed our schedule. We came in, they made emergency sessions for this young person. We got clothing, food, volunteers donated things, and we had the student tested in 3 days. And it normally takes 10 to get the writing back. It's manually tested. So somebody at HiSET called someone in on a Sunday, and it takes, I think it's 2 now, it used to be 3, to manually check the essays. And somebody was kind enough to volunteer their time and come in on a Sunday. We have no clue who that is. It's out of state somewhere. And they got this person done from Friday at 4 to Monday at 9 a.m. and had their diploma in hand and had some place to stay. So I don't think the learner has any idea, and I've never seen this. So I have to say, we really started on a positive note, and not knowing how the new company for the diploma would work with us. This is something that would not have happened with the prior company. So it was a win. We were all jumping up and down and dancing. And then we graduated a computer support specialist. So that was a student that had also stopped out for 6 months, came back and said, I'm ready to do this. And with this student, it was literally confidence. They got this close and got too scared to take the final. So we worked with them for 3 weeks to get them up to the speed because the test had changed, and got a new graduate. The big thing that's happening in adult ed is they are looking at the chapters 221, 225, and 229. Those are the administrative fee reimbursements, which is anything and everything for running the office. Student fees, what we are and are not allowed to charge for, and the big one, the diploma. There have not been major changes in that since 1988. I've been going to all the meetings, and we were lucky enough to be on the pre-team that helped set up the questions, and that was scary, the things that people were suggesting. So I was really encouraged to see that the meetings that they're having right now by the Department of Education for public comment are very on point, and they make sense, and they're looking to get quality, rigor, consistency. And I do want to tell you that our site is up in the higher range already. All of our teachers are certified in the areas that they teach. Due to the work we do with the school board and Mr. Tripp, we have a very robust diploma. Right now in the rules, there's 9 core courses that you have to take, and another 5 electives, which isn't, I mean, it's 1988, and they are not higher level courses. So we've kept up by working with you folks, and I certainly appreciate all of that and the input of Mr. Tripp, so we know where his teachers are at and that we're staying in alignment. So I have every faith that we're in a really good place. I don't think we'll have much work. The only thing that they are suggesting is that it may have to be a district diploma as opposed to calling it Bucksport High School diploma. It may have to be an RSU 25 adult education diploma. And we won't know that until closer to December, but I am told that this will be all wrapped up and they'll have their suggestions by then. I don't think we'll see much else for changes because I think we're already at that really high quality level, and I doubt we will have to do much of anything. Any questions? Oh, goals. We are going to be reconnecting with our collaborative partners. We already started, we have a new Down East workforce training and academic meeting that we started this afternoon. We did those pre-COVID, and we'll also be working with the new measurable skills gains and timing requirements for adult ed to make sure that our program aligns. We did get those rolled out in late spring. So one of the things, our medical assisting class was due to end on June 3rd, and they certified in July. So on paper, none of those students count because they have to complete within the same year. So on paper to the state, it looks like we failed. And we actually passed everyone in the class and got them certified. So we're going to be timing our courses a little bit differently to make sure that everybody gets their completions within the same year.
And lastly, we have Jim. Good morning.
Good evening. Much like Christina said, ditto. Pretty much every school's had projects going on this summer. Many of them are complete, many of them are pending. We still have an issue with the supply line. Items that we ordered in June are arriving now, so that means that we will table some of those installations. The biggest projects going on over the next 2 weeks before the students officially enter, the replacement of the BMS PA system. We're replacing the head unit plus some of the controls on that. All the speakers will stay in place. And we're starting the camera system at BMS. The plan purchased, the items are now on premise. We've pre-wired as much as we can, but we'll end up running 2 surveillance systems at a time until we can completely fold over. And that's all because it's all happening towards the end of the year, or at the end of the summer, which, we anticipate at some level. The VHS Tech office had the floor that was supposed to be in last July, so that's finally being rearranged. And thanks to the patience of the maintenance crew in this building, they literally went around us as we hibernated in 2 rooms with all our stuff. They worked around us, we moved it back out, and they were standing at the door waiting for us to carry the last box so they could start doing their job. But it was very good of them to do that. As always, maintenance and tech department worked well over the summer. We learned where to stay out of, and we learned to pick up after ourselves. So really, it's us taking care of stuff we should be doing anyways. But it's a good partnership. That's basically where we're at now. We switch over to the focus being new staff, or you folks just listed off. We'll need computers at least by Monday. And students will need devices starting the 24th, which is open house. So 7th to 12th grade will be eligible to receive their computers at that point. We'll be sending out some information to parents ahead of time. We adopted a model last year. Is the first year students in a building is the only year they have to complete an entire tech packet. Otherwise, we do an update to the families, and that speeds up the process. Mr. Tripp and I have brainstormed a couple differences we're going to do this year, because what ends up in open house for the high school is it's open house becomes standing line for your computer rather than open house. So we're trying to figure out how to get people in your classrooms, meet your teachers, and efficiently get devices out to both people that are new and incoming, as well as people who've been here and can go through the line quicker. So that'll be an update next week. We've hashed some ideas, but nothing's written in stone at this point.
Any questions? Thank you. Next, we have first reading of policy.
You have 4 policies, the policy committee reviewed. I provided you highlights in my report. You have policy EDAA, chemical hazards. That was very much a significant change from our existing policy. Most notable, the language clarified the development of written plans for safe handling and storage of chemicals, and the designation of a chemical hygiene officer. So that'll be ongoing as we go into the new school year to get those taken care of. We do have some older written plans, but they need to be revisited and revamped based on this new policy. Policy EVCC, bomb threats. It's more than just bomb threats. We made sure we have in the language in there that hazardous substances as well. That's really important for people to understand. If you have a hazardous substance that disrupts the educational process, that's the same as having a bomb threat. So that's been clarified in the language, and then some minor changes in verbiage, changing PET meetings to IEP meetings. Okay. And policy EFE, competitive food sales, very little change to this. Basically, there are exceptions to the competitive food sales process, and a new exception was added, and that had to do with the CTE program. So like the CTE program we have at Hancock County Technical, the culinary program, they actually run a restaurant over there that's open. So that operating is not technically a violation anymore. Okay, and that's all that language did for that sort of thing. Then policy JLCD, administration of medication to students. We do have some significant changes here from the existing policy. Remembering that our original policy was drafted in February of 2010, I believe, was the date. We're now in 23. So our world's changed a little bit in 13 years. So we removed the reference to medical marijuana procedure. That's a procedure, not a board policy, so we took that away. We did add an optional language, adding a cooperative practice agreement for epinephrine auto injectors. And that's been a standing order, but they've now upped the game a little bit. So the cooperative practice agreement would be between us and our medical advisor. And it'll actually write it down into a form, so it's right there, it's far more defined than a standing order. And it provides more clarity and also support and structure for our medical professionals here in the buildings. Cumulative language, inclusion of optional language, adding a practice agreement for possession and administration of the naloxone. And this is the big change. This has been discussed for a few years now. It's reached a point, I had not been very much in favor of this, but society has changed. And unfortunately, it's changed enough, not that we have a significant issue, the drugs coming into the building, but they can. It's out there in society. We had a big community forum on this and reality of how much is out there and around. And these the naloxone treatment, it's a nasal spray, include more expansive opportunities for different people. Law enforcement officers would now have to have things that we talked about. Our procedure would be similar to defibrillators and AEDs. We'll have them in the offices of the school buildings. They're not going to be out in the general public, but they'll be available to trained individuals to administer in an emergency. One of the things that could happen, and you don't even know it. I mean, you could, and I think about our administrators, if they're searching clothing or searching a bag, which is part and parcel of what happens, or looking in a locker. If that substance is there, they can get it on their hands. If they don't wash their hands properly or get it all off, and then they go and eat food or consume food.
They don't realize they touched it.
Right, they don't realize that they can adjust that, and so I'm concerned for that for everybody. Okay, and I know this is a huge departure of where we've been in the 15 years that I've been here. These two ladies behind me, I think will probably be nodding that they support this and strongly encourage it. Is that fair? Okay. And I'm going to emphasize strongly encourage. And also in conversations with the Director of Public Safety, and I asked him specifically, can I reference his recommendation? He said, absolutely. He goes, because of how society has changed and what's in our environment, you need to have these in your school event. And that was a direct quote from Chief Dagan. And I know sitting on that panel and the conversation with those folks up there, they feel the same. Okay.
Does someone need to be trained by you, or if they're outside trained, if they have outside training, if they're like a paramedic?
We'll have trainers we'll train
to verify that.
Yeah, we'll train our people to train. We'll do train the train.
And we do, all the coaches that go through, I teach all the coaches the CPR and first aid. They are all trained because it's part of the American Heart that they do on the school on it.
Are you guys the nurses? Well, I've never seen you. I'm Walter's mom, so you guys call me
And that training would include like overdose recognition and for the necessity that you obviously have to recognize the need to know this is the situation where I need to implement this tool. I think it's good. I mean, there's concentrations of drugs on the market now that are fatal in the tiniest doses.
The state law has changed, so this falls underneath Good Samaritan. So there's protection for anybody that we have that is trained and administers this. Do no harm.
And like you said, it's not gonna do anyone harm if that's not gonna be.
And falling back on my previous experiences, like you say to somebody with life insurance, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's really the same situation here. So, yeah, and go from there. It'll be contained within the offices available for those folks who are trained. Okay. Also include language, story of medication in schools no more than 14 days. And also that the nurses will develop storage and administration procedures. They have that. And again, removes the reference to the medical marijuana. Happy to answer any questions regarding these 4 policies that I brought forward to you.
I will say that with my having
Lorraine.
Lorraine participated in our meeting too at the policy stage. Shared and brought a lot of light to helping develop this and how it's gonna be used in the schools and. So thank you for that. And, I just as a side note, there's an article, I think in the Polar Press Herald, this past week around this. In the schools, there's Cumberland, I think is addressing this right now. And the analogy I heard was it's like having a fire extinguisher. It's there if you have a fire to put out. If you don't need it, you don't need it. And I thought that was a pretty good analogy of having this in our schools and. Positive difference, so forward balls.
And this is also supported by a medical advisor. I know in communication that was shared with me that Ginger and Lorraine had with her, she very much supported this as well. Medical professionals, our public safety folks, it's a reality, so.
I move that we push these 4 policies forward to a second reading as a block.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Ms. Means.
Thank you.
Second readings.
Yeah, you have second reading of a number of policies here. Nothing has changed from first reading to second reading, so. ADA, district goals and objectives, ADAA, school system commitment to standards for ethical and responsible behavior. ADF, Regional School Unit 25's commitment to learning results, policy BBA, school board powers and responsibilities, policy DJH, purchasing and contracting, procurement, staff code of conduct, policy BN, school property disposition, and policy JLCB, immunization of students.
Before we go any further, there is a number here. I just want to make sure. Is there any reason why we should take these up separately or as a block? No. Then I would ask for you to take them up as a block.
Why didn't we accept this in the block in the second reading?
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And it was unanimous. Thank you. Next week calendar, you know.
Yep, the curriculum committee scheduled for September 14th, 6:30 PM at the central office. Also on the 14th at 4:30, facilities committee will meet, followed by a 5:30 meeting of the Aspire committee. So it's a nice busy evening there. On September 12th, the policy committee will continue their work on reviewing policies. And the finance committee and the school board will meet on September 19th.
Before we adjourn, I wish you all the rest of it.
We have an executive session for
Oh, I went over that. Where did I miss
the
that?
crisis management plan.
Oh, it was right on the very bottom of the other page.
Yep.
Sorry about all that. I guess we have an executive session. So we will break for executive session for the annual review of the district crisis plan under 1 MRSA subsection 4056F. And for all you administrators, have a great remainder of the summer.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. Let's change my life.
Okay, we're back from executive session and we're looking for a motion.
Well, I move that we have reviewed the crisis plan and accept the changes.
Second, take a second, all right, we've got a second, all those in favor? That is unanimous, thank you all, now I will look for a motion to adjourn. I move to adjourn. Second. We have a motion and a second on that, and all those in favor of that motion? Thank you very much, have a great reminder.